אני עובדת כאן כבר למעלה מ-30 שנה בוויצו אחוזת ילדים, וכל יום כאן הוא יום חדש, כאילו רק היום התחלתי. אני התחלתי כאן כמורה לנגרות, אז היום אני מורה לטקסטיל. כל עבודה שהילד רוצה אני מכוונת איתו לרמה שלו, ובנוסף אני מורה לקוסמטיקה ואני מכשירה את הבנות לתעודות של קוסמטיקה. כל היום שלי מהבוקר עד שאני הולכת לישון זה אחוזת ילדים. המקום הזה נתן לי להבין שיש תקווה וצריך סבלנות, כי אין דבר שהם לא יכולים לעשות. אנחנו מצליחים להביא אותם כמעט לכל דבר. העיקר שהם יצליחו בחיים, וזה הכי חשוב לי. כשקשה לי לראות ילד עצוב, כשקשה לי לראות ילד שמתייאש, כשקשה לי לראות ילד שהוא דואג, ולפעמים ביום יום אנחנו מוצאים את עצמם דואגים כאילו הם ההורים של ההורים, ואנחנו מנסים להוריד להם מהכתפיים את הכובד ולהגיד להם, אנחנו פה לדאוג, אתם רק תעשו את מה שאנחנו אומרים לכם בשביל להתקדם. אם אני רואה ילדים עובדים אצלי בסדנה ושרים או צוחקים או מספרים בדיחות ומשתמשים בהומור, אני מבינה שמשהו בפנים יתקדם וישתפר. הייתי ממש רוצה להודות לכם, ומהלב שלי ללב שלכם, איך שאתם דואגים לנו, איך אתם באמת חושבים עלינו, ובכל פעם שאנחנו רואים על הקשר הנהדר שיש בינינו לבינכם, ועל זה שאתם שם כל כך רחוקים מאיתנו, אבל ממש מרגישים אותנו, וממש ממש דואגים ועוזרים, והילדים פה מאושרים מכל מה שאנחנו מקבלים מכם. זה עוזר לנו ביום-יום, זה עוזר לנו בקושי של היום-יום, וזה נותן לנו להגיע איתם יותר גבוה ויותר חזק והכי הכי נכון. תודה רבה, ויצו אוסטרליה.
Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to Wizo New South Wales AGM. For those of you on Zoom in Australia and from us here in Israel. A very special welcome to our World Wizo President, Esther Moore, who I have the privilege of sitting here with today, and to World Wizo Chairperson, Anita Friedman. We are so delighted that you're joining such an important AGM. Welcome to our Federal President, Paulette Cherney, OAM, and to past Federal President and World Wizo Honorary Life members, Ronnie Bogner, OAM, and Gila Lieberman. Welcome to past presidents of Wizo New South Wales, Anat Schechter-Vidor, Gloria Newhouse, Esther Wakeman, and Josie Lacey, OAM. And to our honorary life members of Wizo Australia in alphabetical order, Nili Berger, Elaine Brown, Jackie Gluck, Maxine Clarnett, Elza Levine, Michelle Spiro, and Esther Wakeman. A very warm Wizo greeting to all the heads of communal organisations who have joined us this evening. A special welcome to members of the Wizo Executive, group presidents, all members and guests. We would now like to acknowledge all the Wizo members who have passed away in the last year. I'm sure all of you woke up to the dreadful news this morning of the terrorist attack that happened in Beersheba in the shopping centre yesterday, where 4 innocent people were killed. Please hold them in your thoughts, as well as all the Zionist workers and other victims of terror in Israel who have passed away the last 12 months. In these unprecedented times, we ask you to also remember those who have lost their lives around the world due to COVID-19. We pray for the safety and health of every member of our family and of yours as we travel through these COVID days. And now on to our program. I would now like to introduce our World Wizo Chairperson, Anita Friedman. Thank you, Anita.
Hi, hello everybody. Good evening, good morning here, whomever is here, good evening there. A special shout out, of course, to dear Paulette that joined us from Melbourne. And it's a pleasure to be here and thank you for inviting me. Special thanks to you, Dee Simons, as you step down from your presidency, and a warm welcome and best of luck to Neely Berger, the incoming president. I'd also like to take advantage and wish lots of success to Michelle Sparrow, Wizo's Australian incoming president. In a few short months, we'll head up to Australia when the presidency returns to Sydney in May. I'm thrilled to have this opportunity to share with you what has been taking place at World Wizo and how we are slowly climbing out from the corona crisis. So Wizo rose to the challenge on all fronts, but of course, with the generous support and the support of our federations, your support and the support of all our federations worldwide. Your help has been critical to our success, and I take this opportunity to personally thank each and every one of you. Right now, the focus of work is assisting Israeli society to overcome the effects of the pandemic for the past 2 years. And I'd like to spend the next couple of minutes sharing a few highlights and explaining to you what have been done here. In the realm of women's projects, I have to say that lobbying for and creating a short-term shelter for abused women and their children who needed to be in quarantine was a huge accomplishment. This was the first shelter opened in Israel by an organization in 15 years. Of course, we did it with the cooperation and together with the Ministry of Welfare. We also continue to strengthen our support system for women and children escaping violence. It's not only when they're in our shelter, but after they leave the shelter, we identify that these people are not taken care of, and that's why they go back to their abusers. So in lieu of this, we opened 5 centers across Israel where women receive emotional help, vocational training, and assistance to start their life anew. If it's economic, if it's help with the children, if it's, as I said, vocational training to find a better job. And our goal is to open more centers as needs arise. In the realm of youth that are at risk, our youth villages and boarding schools remained open and staffed throughout, as did Ahuzat Eladim, of course. During the numerous lockdowns and quarantines, youth participated in classes via Zoom. But what made Wizo stand out was the individual care and contact that each and every one of these youth received from Wizo's dedicated educational and therapeutical staff during lockdown. Ongoing monitoring and phone calls made it clear that a number of youth could not remain with their families. I'm talking here about families that were suffering from extreme economic situation, instability, and a real need to remove these youth from their homes urgently and bring them back to safety to their youth villages, and that's what we did. Among the hundreds of youth with Wizo cares for, we have about 400 young immigrants from all over the world in a project that I'm sure you've all heard about called Na'ale. In Hebrew, it stands for Noar Ole Lifnei Horim. These are children that come at the age of 14 to junior high and high school before their parents make Aliyah, and most of the time the parents make Aliyah after them and the kids are taken care of. This particular group remained on our campuses, of course, and our dormitories throughout. They don't have a family to go back to. They were separated and far from their families. You can only imagine the love and care these youth received and continue to receive, especially these days for youth whose family is in the Ukraine and those who are in Russia as well. You know, we are here in the middle. We have kids from Russia, from Ukraine, and all of them are suffering. All of them are thinking of their families that are far away. Now, in what is hopeful the aftermath of the pandemic, we're taking stock of the emotional needs of our youth. And what is clear is that Corona has created increased levels of anxiety, fear, and violence, and a decline in communication and interpersonal skills. For some youth entering junior high school after 2 years of Zoom at home, this is a real challenge. Our therapeutic teams on our campuses, they're incredible and are doing, you just saw her, and are doing all they can do to provide support, but the need for therapists is on the rise. In the area of Wizo's early childhood education system, the calls to our early childhood helpline soared. This is a line where parents can call to receive free advice and consultation about parenting and childcare. Being at home often in cramped quarters under stressful conditions created unmanageable tension. Wizo's early childhood education teams talk about children's regression, in particular in terms of their communication skills and their inability to interpret facial expressions. You know, before babies and toddlers begin to speak, they take their cues from what they see. And for their past 2 years, most of the time, they saw masked faces. So throughout the pandemic, Wizo's early childhood educators remained also in constant contact with the young families whose children are enrolled in our daycare centers. We reached out to them, we helped them in any way we could, each daycare center with their families surrounding them. Now that life is becoming a little bit more normal, we'll need to provide more communication and enrichment programming for the children and support for the parents and also for our staff. Remember, we have 3,200 staff members working in our early childhood division, and they also had an extremely hard time. Now, exciting new developments are taking place at World Wizo headquarters. One of our main focuses is the concept of branding of One Wizo. The intention is to pool our human resources and to work more cooperatively, effectively, and professionally around a well-organized strategic plan. In-house professional development teams have been created along with new opportunities for sharing ideas and working jointly as one united team. I don't know how much you're aware of it, but we are an organization that employs 6,000 employees. And we are from all the way from the north to the south. And it's very, very hard to create a coordinated team that knows what's happening in the ground and in the headquarters. So this is the main issue of the creation of the One Wizo, to make sure that we're all connected and that we use our resources in the most efficient way. Now, regarding the Ukrainians, what we've been doing, an update, Wizo's 46 second-hand shops of Bigudiot, like we call them, have opened their doors to provide household items and clothing to refugee families. In addition, our close partnerships with the municipality and welfare offices across the country has enabled us to fill truckloads with donation of clothing and household goods. We're also working very closely and providing items to absorption centers where refugees are being housed. In 2 of our Wizo branches, we've even recruited Russian-speaking volunteers. The intention behind this is not only to give them the material things that they need, but also help them navigate the bureaucracy and the culture here in Israel. You know, it's very different from what they come from and what they know. Most of them come really in shock. So we've had these Russian-speaking volunteers helping us help them. We've even succeeded in helping one family of refugees to find a job for the father as a coach, a football coach, a soccer coach. So we are slowly but surely entering that area. As I always said, we meet the needs of the Israeli society as they come up. And because we are who we are, we can meet these needs fast without bureaucracy, human to human interaction. And that's what we've seen here, and that's what we're doing. Now, in conclusion, in the past few weeks, as the borders open and travel begins, we are thrilled to welcome our first visitors to Israel from countries such as Holland, South America, USA, and of course, our own Diane Simmons from Australia. And I'm looking forward to welcome all of you soon. I'd like to express my heartfelt appreciation for your support and hard work again, for your partnership, for your engagement. And I wish you a very successful AGM. I am going to excuse myself. I have a very important meeting right after this. So I'm going to stay for a few minutes and then I'm going to say my goodbyes. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Esther.
Thanks so much, Anita. It's always such a pleasure having you here, and we love hearing all about the updates in Wizo, Israel. I would now like to welcome our World President, Esther Moore, as I said earlier, sitting right next to me. Esther, thank you so much for agreeing to be here with us tonight. Over to you.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure to be with you Australians, really. My dear friends, and you are my friends. Paulette Cherney, OAM President, Wizo Australia. Di Simons, still President of New South Wales.
For another.
Wizo New South Wales Executive Director Lorna Berger. Michelle Spiro, Gila Lieberman, Ronnie Bogner, my good friends, Esther Wakeman, and all my dear friends. Also, I'd like to tell you that the Australians should be very proud that your former President of New South Wales is sitting on World Wizo's board. And she's on this Zoom today. So welcome, Anat Vaidor, a good friend of mine too. Now, the past 2 years have been undeniably tough on all of us, and even more so for you in Australia, as your country endured some of the harshest lockdowns in the world. As we look back on 2021 in review, we are amazed at the resilience of Wizo Australia. Despite the difficulties, you all stepped up and continued to raise much needed funds for your projects. I just want to say how much we appreciate your dedication, generosity, and solidarity. Di, I would like to thank you personally for all that you have done during your term as President of New South Wales, and in particular for bringing a renovation project of the Jonas Dormitory at Achuzat Yeladim to fruition. It was marvelous to be with you at the inauguration of this flagship project and to see firsthand the joy and elation of your face. Your warm and sparkling personality, kind and generous nature endears you to all, and it has been a pleasure working with you. I look forward to collaborating with the incoming President, Neely Berger. Did I pronounce it right? Berger. She is in a quiet manner and gracious demeanor, and yet she has an inner strength and outstanding leadership skills. Her 40 years of experience on the New South Wales board will definitely stand her in good stead as she takes up the baton. My vision for the next 2 years is to bolster your federation and help you in your friend-raising and fundraising efforts in whatever way I can. All of Wizo's achievements in the past year, our survival, our adaptation, our growth, change and innovation were only possible because of our unity of purpose and our solidarity as an organization and as a movement. I ask each one of you, even at a moment, excuse me, of frustration, to always look at the bigger picture, that the glass is half full, to view Wizo as a special and unique enterprise whose whole is greater than the sum of its parts. The good that we do in this world and is our purpose, our raison d'etre, and we need to filter out the unimportant background noises. This is my blueprint for life. And for years of the long-standing service as a Wizo volunteer, I have learned that this is the right way. I want Wizo to continue to prosper and grow in every corner of the world. I want women to be gathering, uniting, and strengthening Wizo and Israel. Now that our borders have opened up, I hope to see many of you in Israel and in the near future. And I wish you all a wonderful meeting today. And the next person who takes over has a competition with Dyson Simons. All the best, dear friends.
Thank you so much, Esther. Esther and I were just talking about how long we've known each other for, and she said that it was nine or 10 years ago, her first visit to Australia, where I hosted her with all the young Aviv members. And I just wanted to say thank you. It's just such a pleasure being with you today, always visiting you in the office. And we just love when you come and see us. So thank you very, very much.
Australia is number one, really.
Thank you. I would now like to say a huge, huge welcome to a very special friend of Wizo, Mr. Dave Sharma, MP. Dave, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi.
A pleasure.
Dave has been a huge Wizo fan of us for many, many years. When he was ambassador in Israel, he's visited many of our projects. I personally have a friendship with Dave, and I'm so honoured to have you here. So over to you, Dave. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Diane, and thank you, Esther, and thank you to all of the Wizo office holders and members and participants and volunteers that are on the call tonight. I saw firsthand when I was in Israel from 2013 to 2017 as our ambassador there, the amazing and valuable and society building work that Wizo does, whether it's looking after some of the more disadvantaged sectors in Israeli society, whether it's strengthening the role of women, whether it's supporting childcare, whether it's looking after some of the new populations and new migrants to Israel who made Aliyah and are having a hard time fitting in. Wizo plays an incredible role in helping make Israel a stronger country and, to be honest, making Australia a stronger country as well, because the work that Diane does here in Australia with the members of Wizo and to help energise issues and put important issues in the spotlight is really invaluable. I did want to commend in particular the work that I was just hearing about earlier that Wizo is doing to support all the displaced Ukrainian population. That is a terrible tragedy what's unfolding there right now. It's the biggest humanitarian crisis I think we've faced in recent times, and it obviously brings back terrible echoes and memories of the Second World War, the conflict we're seeing in Ukraine. And I think certainly the hearts of everyone in Australia is going out to women and children and others who are fleeing the conflict there in Ukraine. But I'm so pleased that Wizo is playing a role there in helping those people as well. So I just wanted to say thank you to each of you for all the work you do. Thank you in particular to the office bearers who lead the organisation. Thank you for making Israel a stronger country. Thank you for making Australia a stronger country. And thank you for making the ties between our two countries immeasurably more enriched and vibrant. It's really is important work, and we couldn't do it without you.
Dave, thanks again. It's always such a pleasure, really. You are such a great friend to the Jewish community in Australia, to here in Israel, and we really, really appreciate you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
I would now love to introduce our own Paulette Cherney, OAM, to give her greetings. Thank you so much. And over to you, Paulette. Okay, we'll continue and come back to Paulette in a few minutes. Okay, the minutes of the 78th AGM have been distributed and read. Owing to the circumstances, I inform you that the minutes have been seconded by Julie Ross, Treasurer of Wizo, New South Wales. Are there any questions? I now call upon Executive Director Lorna Berger to present the Wizo New South Wales Executive Report. Thanks, Lorna.
Yep. Thanks, Di. The year 2021 started much as it ended in 2020, filled with COVID, restrictions, uncertainty, and of course, devastating news from World Wizo. It became clear that while things in Australia were pretty nerve-wracking, the situation in Israel was dire. Most of our villages and daycare centres were temporarily shut down due to the pandemic. The staff and volunteers unable to be among the children that they love and care for year-round. Jobs were lost, funding from worldwide federations significantly down. Wizo New South Wales had a huge and critical job to do in order to raise funds to send, despite the hardships, despite the lockdowns, and despite the roadblocks along the way. I'd like to read out the highlights of this completely crazy year in which the office often worked remotely. The 2021 membership campaign was launched in January and morphed from I'm a Wizo woman into We Are Wizo Women. It most definitely struck a chord because last year we had over 1,000 paid members. Sponsor a Child. We traditionally launch Sponsor a Child campaign in March, and 2021 was no different. Different last year, though, were the urgent phone calls and emails coming from World Wizo with the most shocking information. Due to the COVID crisis, families who relied on Wizo for their children's daycare, food, and general attention, social and physical needs, no longer had Wizo as their home away from home. In many families, both parents lost jobs overnight and had zero funds to pay utility bills, food, clothing, doctors, and specialists. So, Wizo did what it always does in a crisis. We adapted where the Sponsor a Child funds would be directed, that the most vulnerable families and children would get the support they needed as quickly as possible. Yes, we changed the whole raison d'etre of Sponsor a Child, but isn't that why we're all proud to be with Wizo? In a real crisis, we go where the need is greatest. You rose to the ask, and I can report that last year we had an enormous increase in Sponsor a Child donors, and we are so grateful. Major function. By June, and as we were planning our major campaign, the news coming out of Israel had not improved. Families, children suffering the effects of COVID, abuse, both verbal and physical, was rife, and women and children had nowhere to escape to, and then no way of getting back into the workforce to break the cycle of abuse and start new lives. World Wizo asked us to support their latest campaign, Safety Net, that we provide safety for all those who are unable to help themselves. You were the ones that did the work. Without an actual event, you responded to our campaign. You called into the office with your general donations. You went online and clicked on that very important Safety Net link. And because of you, our donors, we were able to send more than significant funds to Israel. We helped countless abused women by taking them into vocational centers, giving them new skill sets and a way to be able to support their own families. Wizo helped the women who were living in temporary shelters find new housing. Babies and children were placed in new childcare, safe from harm and safe from the barrage of abuse. In closing, I have to say that in what has proved to be an incredibly difficult year, together we've achieved so much. The tenacity of our management committee, presidents and group members, volunteers in the office, to constantly have Wizo at the forefront of their minds through these unprecedented times is simply remarkable, and we salute you all. To my colleague of the last 5 years, Hagit Ashwal, none of this would have been possible without your incredible support and work ethic. A heartfelt thank you. And to Julie Ross, our treasurer, the hours that you dedicate to Wizo, both in the office and out, is remarkable, and it really is fantastic working with you. This organization is a blessing to all who work within its walls, both figuratively and actually. I'm grateful to be one of those women. Long may we have the passion, the wherewithal, and the good fortune to say, we stand with Wizo. Thank you. And now I'd like to turn to Julie Ross for the Treasurer's report.
Thank you, Lorna. Thank you for your kind words and your amazing words. Okay, It goes without saying that Wizo New South Wales had its fair share of challenges again in 2021. Unfortunately, we were unable to hold our in-person functions. Despite this, thanks to our many loyal and generous donors, we were able to raise much-needed funds for our Wizo projects in Israel. Above and beyond day-to-day funding, World Wizo sends us requests for additional funds for the children's individual needs. We are able to call on some very special Wizo supporters who always find a way to make these requests possible. For example, we sent special needs children off to summer camp and arranged singing lessons for an underprivileged young girl at Ahuzat Yeladim who would never have had this opportunity if not for Wizo. And funding for the much needed refurbishment of the kitchen at Ahuzat Haktana, a separate section of Ahuzat Yeladim for 6 to 12-year-old children. Last year, we were also able to finalise New South Wales' commitment of funding the refurbishment of the Jonas dormitory and to make the final payment for the refurbishment of the kitchen at Ahuzat Yeladim. We continued the funding of our daycare centres and for the very important Safety Net campaign, which supports at-risk women and children. As well, last year, due to a very generous donor, we were able to send substantial funds for the refurbishment of the women's shelter in Ashdod and for the Beit Horim Parents' Home in Tel Aviv, where a state-of-the-art physiotherapy centre was added to enable the elderly residents, many of whom are Holocaust survivors, to have their therapy on the premises instead of having to travel to and from their sessions. Our sponsored child donors are a special group of over 200 women, many paying their donations on a monthly basis, and we hope to grow this number this year. A big thank you to those of you who choose to celebrate your special birthdays by asking friends and relatives to make donations to Wizo. This adds another arm to our fundraising efforts. In 2021, we were fortunate to receive a substantial bequest from Mina Herskovicki. We are immensely grateful for bequests. Leaving a legacy to Wizo is a vital element of our fundraising. Please remember your commitment by including Wizo in your will. Please contact Lorna for more information. Thank you to the Board of Management and the New South Wales Executive, Group Presidents and all members for their tireless efforts and loyalty to Wizo. And a big thank you to Lorna and Hagit. I would like to thank Joe Staub and Judy Brown from Joe Staub and Associates for their efficient audit of 2021. The audit report is available to view in our office if you want to see it. I would like to move that Joe Staub and Associates be reappointed as our auditors for 2022, and I hope to see you in person at one of our many functions this year. And now over to Di, who will give her final report as President of Wizo New South Wales. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. But before I do that, Paulette is back. Paulette Cherney, our Australian Federal President, OAM Paulette Cherney, over to you.
There we are, all live and kicking. Thank you, Di. Dearest Di, Executive and members of Wizo New South Wales. Once again, I'm delighted to bring you greetings from Wizo Australia on the occasion of your AGM for 2022. The past year has been difficult for all, not only organisations such as Wizo, but it has affected the lives of all those in New South Wales in a way that we never dreamed would happen. In the true Wizo spirit, nothing has stopped our organisation from biting the bullet and getting on with working tirelessly for the needs of those in our care. Currently, our hearts are broken by the humanitarian crisis that is actually happening at this time in the Ukraine. But Wizo, as always, will be there. Wizo New South Wales, under your leadership, Di, has been very creative in how you have managed the difficult circumstances of lockdown, ensuring you keep in contact with your members and ensuring that they are informed and involved. You have been a delight to work with, and I'm sorry to see you leave this role. Under your leadership, Wizo New South Wales has continued to function and be creative against all odds. Wizo New South Wales continues to be innovative in all areas, as well as the ongoing success you have had with your Sponsor a Child program and many other fundraising initiatives. I know you were devastated by the cancellation of various functions, particularly your very successful and famous poker night. The current Wizo New South Wales membership program, We Are Wizo, has been quite unique, and I have admired what you have done with this. I am sure your membership is pouring through the door, as who would not want to be involved in an organisation like this? All of Wizo throughout Australia has looked on in your establishment of your observership program, with the 6 young women who clearly are very keen to be involved and add the benefit of their youth and ideas to the Wizo New South Wales board. At this point, it would be remiss of me not to mention Lorna Berger, the Executive Director of Wizo New South Wales. Lorna, you are a hardworking and most creative Wizo woman, and I congratulate you on all you have achieved. At times this year, under very adverse circumstances, kol hakavod to you, Lorna. And now I would very much like to welcome Lily Berger, who will be elected as President to Wizo New South Wales at this AGM. I have known and worked with Lily for more years than I can count on both hands, and I could not be happier that she will be leading Wizo New South Wales into the future. As you would all be aware, Wizo Australia will be moving to New South Wales in May this year. And I would like to say thank you to those in Wizo New South Wales who have worked with me and supported me over the past 6 years. I look forward to continuing to be involved once Federation moves to Sydney. And I am sure that Wizo Australia will continue on its path of being a most important organisation in the Australian community. Here I would like to welcome Michelle Sparrow, who will be the incoming president, but more about that in May. And I hope you will all come along to see me step down and Michelle step up. I know this will be most important to both of us. Kol hakavod to all in Wizo New South Wales, and we will continue to work together to leave a strong legacy for those who follow, as did those who went before us. We are the we in Wizo. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paulette. It really has been so wonderful working with you. I've had an amazing 4 years, and thank you for your beautiful words. So welcome everyone again. As you know, I'm coming live from the Wizo office, but I'm now in a different office. It's super hectic here because it's only been the last few weeks that the World Wizo office has reopened. Because of COVID, it's been closed. And now, of course, it's very, very hectic. So here I am now. I'm feeling very, very blessed to be in our homeland. I'm visiting 2 of my 3 children, Claudia, who's been living in Tel Aviv now for 4 years, and Dean, who has been studying and volunteering. And all I can say is each time I'm here, I'm blown away by the incredible organisation that Wizo is. As you can imagine, many of the Wizo programs and centres had to shut down, and they had to deal with multiple crises of an unprecedented scope. But it's so wonderful that things here have started getting back to normal, and we all pray that it stays this way. Only 2 weeks ago, Ronit Crackpot, the Wizo Victoria president, and I, along with Anat Schechter-Weidel, went to visit our Australian daycare centre, Raya Glom in Tel Aviv. And it was really wonderful to see the daycare back after all COVID restrictions have been lifted. The children were so happy, and it filled my heart to see these amazing projects back at work again. Last month, I was in Miami, along with Anita Friedman, who you just heard speak, where we were lucky enough to attend the Wizo Miami annual gala. It was an incredible evening where we had the privilege of hearing Ambassador Gilad Erdan, who is Israel's permanent ambassador to the United Nations, speak. The highlight for me was spending time with our Wizo Chaverot as we shared ideas and opinions, And it's so special and important to have the diverse perspectives from our international Wizo family. And it's just such perfect timing that I'm here, because now that Israel's finally opened the doors, lots of the federations and presidents are coming. So actually tomorrow night, Esther, Anat and myself will be hosting a dinner for Mireille Manicherian, who is the co-president of Wizo USA, who was also in Miami. And now that COVID restrictions have lifted, many of the Wizo federations are starting to visit, and we're all meeting with the new heads, because there's new heads that have been elected now for the World Wizo office, and we're really looking forward to that tomorrow night. People continuously ask me, why Wizo? I get it all the time when I'm traveling overseas, even in Israel with my Israeli friends, of all the organizations that you can be involved with. Why did I pick Wizo? Golda Meir, who happens to be my birth twin, once said, and I quote, "Trust yourself. Create a self that you will be happy to live with all your life. Superficial happiness can be here today, but because life happens, it can be gone tomorrow. Finding something that resonates with your soul is what truly is important. And that's what Wizo has done for me in all aspects of my life." Why Wizo? For the woman who left her home with her children in the middle of the night because of ongoing domestic violence just became unbearable. The shelter that welcomes her will make her independent once again through career retraining, free legal support and therapy. Her children work with a trained child psychologist and will soon thrive, breaking the cycle of violence. Why Wizo? For a boy whose father went to jail and whose mother works 3 jobs, who is now a boarding student at our flagship project, Achuzat Yeladim, counselling helps him process his pain and calm his anger. And he discovers that he has a love of animals through our pet therapy program. Why Wizo? For the single mum with 3 babies under the age of 6, who is able to enroll in enrichment classes at a women's centre while her children are loved, cared for and safe in our Australian-sponsored daycare centres. She will become a computer programmer and will be able to work full-time to support her family. And why Wizo? For the young girl whose home life breaks down when her brother, a paratrooper in the IDF, is killed. Vulnerable and innocent, she is groomed by an older man for prostitution, but luckily ends up at our Wizo Makom Balev. With intense mentoring, counselling and support, the worthlessness she feels dissipates, her self-esteem is restored, and she picks up the pieces of her life. This is what happens every day within all of our Wizo projects all around the world. The last 4 years of my presidency has certainly seen some huge world changes, from the devastating effects of climate change with the fires, the COVID pandemic, to the shocking situation in Ukraine. The world flipped and nobody could have anticipated the outcome. So for me to have started my presidency amidst all these worldly changes, I really have witnessed the resilience and the commitment of our Wizo community and the way in which every one of us adapted to this new world. And even now through Zoom, even though Zoom did exist before COVID, nobody would have thought of holding all these meetings online. And the huge numbers tonight indicate just that. It didn't affect our abilities to raise the necessary funds and continue helping Israel in a most positive way. Without a doubt, my most exciting Wizo news has been the success and dedication of our newest generation joining our Wizo board. What started as an observership program with 6 incredibly talented young women has proven to be our greatest and most prosperous outcome. We are all so honoured and proud that they have chosen Wizo, and I can't wait for them to attend their first Aviv seminar here in Israel. I'm hucking them every day. When is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? Because it really is the cement of it all. When you get to see the actual projects, the hard work and dedication with their own eyes, as well as meeting like-minded girls their age, who they're able to share their brilliant ideas and continue the ever working, growing Wizo work that they do. Next week, actually, Kira is coming to visit Israel. And so we have organised a visit here with our new Australian ambassador, Paul Griffith, to visit our flagship program, Achuzat Yeladim, as well as visit Makom Balev. And also she'll be spending a day here in the Wizo office where she will brainstorm with like-minded members of the World Wizo team. So I'm very, very excited for that. It has been an absolute honour and privilege to be involved with Wizo for the past 25 years. I look forward to continuing my active involvement with Wizo as a board member, and I want to thank all of the board members, past presidents, Wizo Chavarot, all of you who have nurtured me, mentored me, inspired me, and guided me throughout my Wizo journey. My gratitude knows no bounds. It's also really important for me to thank from the bottom of my heart the unfailing support, dedication, and continued hard work of our Executive Director, Lorna Berger, our office staff, Chagit, as well as many volunteers who have helped us during the past year. Thank you so much. I now pass the torch to Nili Berger, who we all know will do an amazing job. Her incredible dedication and support for Wizo during the last 40 years and her love of Israel is a testament to the kind of woman that Nili is, and such an amazing leader she will be. And we really look forward to working under her guidance. May we all together see another 100 years of continued success and the achievements for Wizo, the Jewish people, and the state of Israel. Thank you. Are there any comments on any of the reports that have just been read out? Okay, so now the highlight of our AGM is always the awards and presentations. So we will start right now with our Bar Mitzvah presentation. Children who have shared their Bar or Bat Mitzvah with Wizo are special in that they understand the intrinsic value of giving to those who have less than they do. The last 2 years have been so difficult for our Bar and Bar Mitzvah students. Dates cancelled, Bar Mitzvahs held on Zoom. Our children have been amazing, adaptable and resilient to this crazy world around us. But tonight, we are here to honour a young man whose family on both sides are very, 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 very long-standing Wizo members with a huge Wizo history. Josh Bogner, son of Lisa and Anthony Bogner, grandson of Ronnie and George Bogner, and Sue and Rob Hoffbauer. In honour of Josh's Bar Mitzvah, Lisa and Anthony made a donation to our pet therapy centre at Achuzat Yeladim. The results of this program are simply amazing. One example is a young boy who was injured in a terrorist attack. From his hospital bed, he asked for his adopted parrot to be brought to his side. The hospital agreed, and the pet played an enormous role in the boy's recovery. We are so grateful to your whole family, Josh, for the passion, compassion, and years of dedication that they have given Wizo, and that both sets of grandparents and your parents have instilled in you the importance of tzedakah. Kol hakavod, Josh. Lisa, would you please present the certificate to Josh on our behalf? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gorgeous, Josh.
Thank you.
So much. Mazal tov. Once again, we are delighted to present the Rose Fekete Community Hero Award. Tonight, it will be presented by Esther Wakeman. Over to you, Esther.
Hello, Di, how are you? Are you on?
It is my pleasure to present this award tonight. It was created in honour and memory of our dear Rose Fekete of blessed memory. Rose was a proud and active member of the Sydney community. She admired, respected and emulated those in our community that gave so much. In this light, each year, Wizo will award a person who has given of themselves to the whole community, as well as to Wizo. Tonight's recipient, a barrister by profession, has been described as a giant of the community, someone who our Rose had a lot of admiration and respect for. I can only highlight some of the work he has done, otherwise we would be here all night. Displaying a great importance of involvement from an early age, he was the youngest person at the age of 30 ever to be elected as president of the Jewish Board of Deputies. In 1988, he received an AM for services to the Jewish community. He was elected as president of Moriah College in 1989, and during his presidency and over a 5-year period, he meticulously oversaw and managed the building of a new purpose-built campus for both primary and high school students at Queen's Park. In 1996, he was approached by the late John Saunders, the founding chairman of the Sydney Jewish Museum, to become the first president to transform the museum from a private institution to a community-owned and operated institution, which he did. And today, it is a major educational asset of the Sydney Jewish community. From as early as the 1970s, he was a member of the Executive Council of Australian Jewry in various positions and became president for 2 terms, during which time he extensively developed the organisation for the benefit of our community and greater recognition and influence in the wider community as well. Currently, he is continuing his role on an international level as the Vice President of the World Jewish Congress, as well as being an officer of the Claims Conference responsible for the governance of that organisation. It makes me take a deep breath, even thinking of the enormity of any one of these positions. In 2015, the Allgemeine newspaper in the USA placed him in the Jewish 100 list of top 100 people positively influencing Jewish life for his impactful work on behalf of the Jewish people in the State of Israel. This list includes the likes of Steven Spielberg, Elie Wiesel, Alan Dershowitz, and many others. What an honour. He has always been there for Wizo, whether it be on matters of governance, protocol, mediation, or constitutional matters. In recent years, he was honoured with an AO, and tonight it gives me great pleasure to present the Rose Fekete Community Hero Award to Robert Gut, AM, SCAO. Roberta, can you please present Robert with his award? Robert, would you like to say a few words, Robert?
Thank you, Esther, Di, Paulette, and everyone associated with Wizo. This is truly a great honour. I grew up with Rose. We were neighbours and very close. And I'm quite overwhelmed at receiving this award, which is a complete surprise to me. I've always been the #1 ticket holder in the general community, I think, for Wizo. When I was president of the Board of Deputies, I never missed a Wizo AGM, and I've been going to them for a long time. I remember a long time ago now, in the 70s, when I chaired the campaign for the rescue of Soviet Jewry, that if we ever wanted anything done to galvanize the community, to get the community out on the streets for Soviet Jewry, we had to speak to Wizo, and we did, and they never failed us. And I made some dear friends in Wizo, some of whom have now sadly passed on. But my affection for Wizo and my commitment and support of what it does, the important work that it does, hasn't changed. Thank you very much, Esther, for this, and for your colleagues, and for the women of Wizo and the men of Wizo as well. This is an award which I will truly cherish. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert, for your continued everything you do for Wizo. We would now like to present the Denny Govender Award 2021. I'm now going to hand over to our past federal president, Ronnie Bogner, OAM. Thanks, Ronnie.
The Denny Govender Award is given in memory of Wizo New South Wales Executive Director, Denny Govender. Although there are many awards to acknowledge service to Wizo, this particular award holds a very special place in the hearts of the members of Wizo New South Wales. This award is given to a member whose spirit, enthusiasm, vision, and active participation in Wizo has made them an inspiration and a role model. This year, we are honoured to present the award to a person who encapsulates all of these attributes. Wizo is fortunate to be able to rely on her knowledge, her leadership skills, and her sheer energy to always do the best for Wizo. Even after completing her service as president of Wizo New South Wales, she continues to be a volunteer extraordinaire, willing to take on any task or role. Of course, I am speaking about Gloria Newhouse. Gloria in the UK. Gloria, over the air, or over the Zoom airways, with great warmth and respect, we present you with the 222 Denny Govender Award, which you wholeheartedly deserve. Mazal tov, and we'll give this to you when you're back in Sydney. Over to you, Gloria.
Thank you, Ronnie. That was so unexpected. I got tears in my eyes. I don't know how I'm supposed to talk, but I will try. Thank you, everybody, for that. So hi from beautiful London, and hello to everybody in Sydney. I hope you're all well and safe. I want to speak to Di. Having been a past Wizo New South Wales president, I know how rewarding, how stimulating, how enriching, and how difficult this position can be. Di has been at the helm of our organisation in what was probably the most tumultuous of years. With gala functions cancelled, guest speakers postponed, events put off at the last minute, and even the last 3 AGMs on Zoom, she has managed under her stewardship to raise sufficient funds to complete the refurbishment of the Jonas Dormitory, no small task, to raise critically needed funds for women and children at risk and families who have been enormously affected by COVID-19 and by domestic abuse. A Sabra born, she has always been passionate about Israel. With a master's degree in special education, it was a vocation for her to help educate women and children here and in Israel. Wizo fulfilled this need in her to assist wherever possible to enrich and educate. Di has led Wizo Tova for over 20 years and has been awarded in the past the Denny Govender Award, which we now share, I can't believe that, and which is presented for vision, spirit, and enthusiasm. To honour Di, a significant amount has been raised, which will go towards the safety net program, supporting women and families to leave their abusive homes and make a new life where possible. This is the program I know is very dear to your heart. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of all New South Wales to thank Di for her leadership during the last 4 years and present her with Wizo's highest honour, the Rebecca Seif Award, which she so richly deserves. It reads, the Rebecca Seif Award, issued by the Women's International Zionist Organisation to Di Simons for devoted and outstanding service rendered to the cause of Wizo in the spirit of its founders. So Di, from afar, on behalf of Wizo New South Wales, I wish you mazel tov. Enjoy your time in Israel with kids, and sincerely thank you for your leadership and all the years of involvement and dedication. I thank you personally and from all of New South Wales.
Thank you so much. And you know what's crazy? Just 1 second, because literally in this office here is this.
Oh, wow.
That's Rebecca Seif, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm so honoured, and you know, it has and always will be very dear to my heart. And I thank everyone and look forward to the next 100 years of working with Wizo with all of you. Thanks so much. I'm now handing over to Nilly, our new Esther first.
After sharing so many years of work with someone, you get to know them pretty well. There is a synergy between you where you share the same passion, drive, sense of responsibility, and Zionist values which keep you going to achieve your goal. Truthfully, I never thought this day would happen, and it is happening. Not all of us aspire to lead, to be out there, to be seen and take on that level of responsibility. My colleague and friend has everything it takes to lead Wizo New South Wales into a new era, continuing the work which gives so much to the 1 in 4 people we support in Israel. Therefore, I am so very excited and delighted to introduce you to Nilly Berger, our new president of Wizo New South Wales.
Thank you, Esther. Shalom, everyone. I am truly, truly excited to be here tonight. 2 weeks ago, as part of a group of 30 Wizo women, I attended a Hamantashen making morning at our big kitchen. We did what women do so well. We rolled pastry, and we laughed, and we exchanged stories and lamented the state of the world. And we danced around the table to celebrate Purim. Gathering at short notice gave us the opportunity to do something good and heartfelt, something that would benefit others. I have quite strong feelings about responsibility and gratitude for all that I have. For me, the need to give back is the driving force for the work that I do, as I know it is for most of us here tonight. Giving with an open hand and heart, and knowing that I can contribute something significant in this world gives my life meaning. And that brings me to Wizo. Those of you who know me know that my passion for Wizo began more than 40 years ago, as has been mentioned a few times tonight. It didn't start as a passion, but more of an interest. As a new mum, I found a place to meet new people, a place to stimulate my mind, and thankfully a place to take part in something that wasn't child-centered. So since then, I've been practicing, learning, meeting challenges, understanding personalities, leading groups, and exploring a million ways to raise funds. Sometimes I was exasperated and more often elated at what a difference we can make to the women, children, and the entire fabric of Israeli society just by being involved in this huge and robust organization. I have been a small cog in the wheel of a 250,000 member worldwide family. I am the lucky one. And now I'm ready to become a slightly bigger cog. And it is with so much pride and positivity that I take on this role as president of Wizo New South Wales. I am so lucky to follow on from past presidents, Ronnie Bogner, OAM, Yilla Lieberman, Esther Wakeman, Gloria Newhouse, and Di Simons, who are here to support me, who are still here to support me. It is very exciting that Wizo New South Wales is at the precipice of a new beginning. I'm ready to plan, I'm ready to build and achieve, not only with my loyal and respected executive and our faithful members, but also with our brand new team who are at the beginning of their Wizo journey. They are part of the future of Wizo New South Wales. I am thrilled to introduce you to the team who joined us as observers in 2021 and who will now step up and shadow various portfolios. The idea being that in time they will experience each segment of the workings of Wizo so that succession is secured. They are one magic team. Kira Brandt, Terry Bender, Mickey Hendler, Lisa Salkender, Olivia Temple, and Alexa Zay. Welcome, 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 truly welcome. You know, I have memories of my early days in Wizo. I was met, embraced, and mentored by the most amazing women. Nellie Weiss, Leela Scher, Betty Wilkenfeld, all of blessed memory. One of my mentors, I think, is sitting here on Zoom tonight, and I would like to acknowledge her publicly for the inspiration and support she was to me. Josie Lacey. Hi, Josie. Josie, I have to thank you. I remember the first time I heard you speak at Central Synagogue. It was during the Lebanon War, and we had lost Danny Goldberg, an Australian boy who volunteered and lost his life. Josie, I was mesmerized by your strength and clarity. I saw what was possible. In years to come, you encouraged me and you believed in me, and I know that that is part of why I am here today. I hope that in some small way, I can do the same for our next generation of Wizo women. We have wonderful plans for 2022, including the refurbishment of Beth Wizo, and also that the first time there will be a Wizo birthright bus in Israel in December as part of the Taglit program. No thanks is ever enough for the team that runs the Wizo machine, so ably led by Lorna Berger, who has carried a huge load during the year, supported by the wonderful Hagit and Julie Ross. Thank you, and thank you again. I would also not be here tonight without the support of my wonderful husband and family. We are also a great team. My wonderful friend, the late Rose Fekete, used to say that Wizo ran through her veins. I understood what that was. We shared a passion for this organisation, and we worked together for more than 40 years, always saying that as much as we loved Wizo, we could never take on the role of president. Well, here I am, Rose. I'm doing it, and you're here with me. You guided me, and you're a big part of how I found the will to do this. So with gratitude to life and excitement for the future, I take on the Wizo New South Wales presidency for 2022. And now I'd like to introduce you to the Wizo New South Wales executive for 2022. Vice President, Benita Cam, Treasurer, Julie Ross, Secretary, Lisa Salkender, Immediate Past President, Di Simons, along with Esther Wakeman, Ronnie Bogner, OAM, Gila Lieberman, Gloria Newhouse, and Michelle Spiro. And that brings us to the end of our AGM. I really, really thank you all for coming. I really look forward to the next 4 years, and I hope I can do justice to the role that I've just taken on. And I wish you all a very beautiful and safe and happy Pesach. Thank you.